Welcome back to this episode of the Open Concept podcast, where we are breaking down unnecessary walls and barriers that stand in the way of greatness. Everybody needs a tool guy. Everybody needs a spot at the gym when they're lifting more weight than they can possibly handle. And my guest today covers both those positions in life.
That's right.
My friend Neil Howard. Neil, how you doing, buddy?
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, 100%. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Ooh, a little bit about myself. Well, I grew up in Tsawwassen, and I just moved back, I guess, close to 4 years ago. I shouldn't say just. Now that I have two children, and so my wife and I bought a place in just near Boundary Bay there. And we're loving it. Yeah, so back in Tsawwassen, I've been working for Milwaukee Tools for just hit my 11-year mark.
Wow, decade.
Feels crazy to say. I would have guessed it was 4 years until someone messaged me the other day. And yeah, other than that, just kind of hanging out and doing the family life.
We're going to have one of the next episodes that we're going to be doing. We're going to get some really great tools here from Milwaukee, showcase 100%. Some of the stuff that you're doing. Hell yeah. We also, one of the rare occasions where we're drinking a little whiskey here on the podcast because it's the end of the day and it's Friday, and why not?
Yep, that tastes exactly like alcohol.
Tastes exactly like whiskey does, my friend. Indeed. You've been working with Milwaukee for over a decade.
That's right.
A lot of our listeners, they're business owners. We do a few because I run a construction company.
Oh, yeah, I heard.
I don't know if you knew that or not.
I heard.
We do some construction episodes. And we do some pretty cool construction stuff. Milwaukee Tools, they have been a great tool and a leader in the space for a long time. But like anything, I imagine there's been big leaps and bounds in a lot of the stuff, a lot of the product, a lot of the technology, because like a drill just isn't a drill anymore. Like it's kind of a piece of art.
It's the technology is wild. There's Bluetooth capabilities, tracking capabilities. We've actually just got into machine learning.
Learning with tools.
We've got fastening tools that essentially figure out how you're trying to fasten and get better over time. It's been pretty crazy to see the evolution just in my, I guess, 11 years in terms of the technology, in terms of the product categories we're getting into. It's been a wild ride. It's we like to consider ourselves kind of the Apple of the tool space, as silly as that sounds.
It doesn't sound silly at all. I think that's a good place to position yourself. Apple's done okay.
They're an all right company. Yeah,
they're an all right company. Literally, we're streaming off of a MacBook here, and I think everybody's got
my iPhone beside me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So how long until Milwaukee comes out with cell phones?
Oh God, I hope never.
You were just down in Toronto, was it?
I was. Yeah, we had
a big
sales conference there.
What does that look like? Do they introduce new tools down there? Or?
It's fun. Just like the brand, it's kind of evolved over time, and now we're so big in Canada. We have about 1,000 employees just in Canada now. So it's we used to do a whole day of actual product itself, where the product marketing team walks you through all the upcoming stuff, but they've shortened it quite a bit. Now it used to be a full 5 days. Now it's realistically 2 days, and then you show up on the Friday morning, kind of do a goodbye, and everyone flies home. So it's more the leadership team walking you through the business units, how we performed last year, of course, and what our plans are moving forwards. And we're a little bit unique that we're not the only brand underneath our portfolio. So Tektronic Industries owns Milwaukee. It's Hong Kong based, on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Mm-hmm. And they own Milwaukee, of course. They own Ryobi as our consumer homeowner brand.
Yep.
We license the Rigid name within Home Depot in the power tool space. So we license it from Emerson, but that does not include the...
Can you expand on that a little bit? Because Rigid Tools, we were purchasing Rigid Tools raw because they were offering a lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
And then we started, and that was great for a little while because there was a piece missing on a table saw, and then and they wouldn't even just replace the table saw, like a new table
Oh,
saw.
yeah.
I didn't even know it was showing up. That
Yeah.
I'd have a new table saw that would show up in my house. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Right.
But I can only imagine that's kind of bad for business. I don't know how
Yeah.
that works, but then a lot of the shops around here stopped doing that. Like they stopped repairing
Yeah.
those types of
It's
tools.
not good for their business, right? So yeah, that's a unique one. We license the name, like I said, from Emerson. So that does not include the plumbing side. So if you walked into a Home Depot and walked into the actual plumbing aisle, the drain cleaning machines, the pipe wrenches, all that kind of stuff would not be us. If you walked into the hardware section, the actual drills and circular saws and that kind of stuff that have a bit different of an orange. The orange is more bright, I guess, than the plumbing side. That's the one that we license. So we have those brands, and then we have Empire underneath the Milwaukee brand, so layout, levels and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have a floor care side of the business that's Hoover and Dirt Devil. So I only
That
work for Milwaukee, but all the different business leaders take you through.
they fall under the kind of the
Under
same
the
umbrella.
TTI. Yeah. So we actually just got walked through our financials by our new global CEO just the other day. We did 14 billion in revenue last year. So it's a pretty big company. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of billion.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I like that. Is there like you see these Instagram videos and TikTok videos of like drills messing each other up? Have you seen those videos?
I don't think I have.
No?
No.
Okay.
Like what? Fighting each other?
Yeah, so it's like you put the drill bits on and like you tape the ends of the drills together, and then you have a clamp on the trigger, and it like they turn in different directions, and it's just like which drill is gonna outpower the other drill. Like it's like a
I actually
drill
haven't seen that.
battle video.
I'm not a big social media guy, but
Yeah.
that's
Okay,
hilarious.
well check it out because it was pretty funny. But the Milwaukee drill was winning that competition.
Oh, did it?
So I was
Okay,
I was
good.
just wondering,
Thank
like,
God.
it's not about. I just thought I'd bring it up.
I thought you
because
were
I
going
was
to tell
like,
me you lost.
no, I mean, I'm sure there are videos in which case it did get lost, but it was they're pretty entertaining videos. I don't know who like puts them together.
I used to always see the underwater ones, and it was whose drill can run the longest underwater.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah, all that type of stuff. But it was like you do see the different fasteners and drills, tools, everything where you can like you do the race to see which drills screw stuff faster, and
classic.
Milwaukee's always been up there.
Mhm.
No, that's fun. So 10 years with Milwaukee, couple of kids, right? What's life on the road, dealing with all this construction guys, selling tools, and
Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of fun. So we're a little bit unique how we go to market at Milwaukee. So we basically split our teams into two. We've got one side that calls on distribution. So Milwaukee only sells through distribution. They don't sell direct to consumer. Really, Hilti's the only power tool brand that sells direct to consumer. Every other Milwaukee, Makita, Bosch.
so you'd have to sell it to a Home Depot or
You got
something, and
Home
then somebody would
Depot
go
or
over
a
there.
PMS Tools, or wholesalers like a Wolseley or a Jesscan.
Yeah.
There's a million different places. It's places like Adams Tarpon Tool on the island, Raider Hansen. So yeah, we only sell through distribution. So we've got a team that solely calls on distribution, and they're working on selling product in their inventory levels, promotions, all that kind of jazz, pricing, and then I manage what we call our job site solutions team. So that's our end user facing team. So that's how we're very unique. We don't have one person doing both like a lot of other brands. We take end user equity, we call it, very, very seriously, and we think that we should have a dedicated team that just calls on the user. So kind of to your question there a minute ago, in the same day I could call on the purchaser of BC Hydro that might be, submitting $1 million POs, and then down to the laborer on, Oak Ridge sweeping up the floors or whatever. So you really see quite a range of people and professionals and stuff. And it's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. It's, it's a fairly informal, setting, I guess, a lot of the times compared to maybe something like tech sales or something.
Yeah.
So I like it. I can kind of be myself and have some fun, and that's what I do. I have fun every day, and if I didn't, I'd work somewhere else.
You wouldn't have been there for over a decade now.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
There's yeah, obviously right now there's a lot of weird stuff going on, talks of tariffs with the US and
Hmm.
how Canada is going to combat that and come back and not retaliate against the states but stand up and
Yeah.
say, hey, this is what we're proposing. At this point, how is that affecting you guys, or is there talk in there about how? Because I imagine there's a lot of different parts that kind of filter.
Yeah.
You said kind of in Hong Kong, but a lot of different like components that come together,
Hmm. Hmm.
maybe out of the states and stuff. So is that something that you guys are particularly concerned about?
Yeah, it's kind of hard because even at our leadership level, whether it's our global CEO or our Canadian president, it's the uncertainty, right? It's hard to plan around it. You don't know what's going to happen. Things change every hour. Is Trump going to wake up tomorrow and say, "Just kidding," or no, the more terror? You
Yeah,
never
yeah,
know. So we have we've announced we're going to take a price increase on May 1st, which aligns with everyone in the industry is obviously doing the same to try to protect themselves. But outside of that, we don't really have a lot of info. We're trying to do our best to get more inventory into Canada. Typically, we don't hold that much inventory in Canada. We'll manufacture the majority of our products in Asia,
yeah,
obviously to keep the cost down. Depending on product category, that'll differ. Like we bought a while ago a big carbide facility, Drabo, in Germany. We actually manufacture most brands carbide and then just paint it for them. And
yeah,
here's the yellow one, DeWalt. We launched maybe 2 years ago. We finally launched a premium hand tool line called Made in USA Hand Tools, and it's all about a state of the art manufacturing facility, obviously in the US. So that's us finally trying to compete with your Kleins and Nipexes in that kind of screwdriver plier, that really high end
yeah.
kind of lineup. So the vast majority of is manufactured in Asia, but yeah, a little bit comes in different
I think we
places.
were I think we were laughing a little bit because it was almost like that a stamp that's something that says made in China. Now all of a
It's
sudden
positive.
holds a lot of weight,
I said that
right?
to you the other day. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's always been funny. It's always been where do you guys manufacture? And oh, mostly in Asia. And
yeah,
everyone manufactures in Asia. And
yeah,
now for the first time, it's like, no, this is great.
yeah.
We manufacture in Asia. So yeah, that's kind of been funny. And I've had a running joke with a couple of the guys that now this made in USA, which is supposed to be rah, we make it in USA, is now a completely negative thing. And
Yeah, it's kind of like, we sort of make it in the US. I don't know. I hope that's okay.
yeah, we're going to rebrand Made in China, and the sales will come in.
Yeah, they'll start skyrocketing. It's funny though. I mean, there's no even with us right now, like talks of tariffs, and I try not to think about it too much because I try and focus the majority of my brain power on things that I can't control
Mhm.
versus things that can. But
Totally.
it doesn't mean that not aware of what could possibly happen in different scenarios. So you try and come up with contingency plans. But with what's going on down there, like there just isn't. I mean, the many countries, Canada included, just doesn't really have a playbook for handling a president
Tyrant,
like
yeah, no
like
window.
uh, Trump. But um, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of great things that he's trying to do. It's just as a country next door and a country whether it's Canada or Mexico or anywhere else in the world, it's tough to keep your finger on a pulse of what that next move might be. So on our end, we haven't seen too much, but there is this like similar to COVID. There's just and when interest rates go up, there's this overarching kind of uncertainty because in the first thing that you see in the news in the morning, if you watch the news, is like update on tariffs, just the same way as it was like update on interest rates. And this is what the media was trying to push. So there becomes this overarching kind of fear in
Mhm.
the general public. And so if people are looking to in times like that, it's going to be less likely that they're going to go out to restaurants as
Mhm.
much. They're less likely to buy tools or choose to build a house or renovate a house or buy a car, whatever that
Mhm.
may be. So that's where, I don't know, just as a hunch, maybe we would see some stuff, but we've been,
Yeah.
been pretty fortunate. And yeah, things are looking good on them.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I try to just focus on what I can control, tariffs or otherwise. And um, I think you drive yourself mad just thinking about the things you can't control, right? And to your point, you got to be prepared and be in a position where you can make responsible reactions to stuff like that. But I'm not going to sit around and I guess Milwaukee's not going to sit around just kind of waiting for things. We're going to do our best to make contingency plans ahead of time and kind of roll with the punches, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a sort of a silly thing. We definitely saw, and I don't know if it affected you when we did see interest rates going up. That was something that certainly affected, well, I think a lot of people, but it certainly affected our business, and we saw that a lot in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
where all of a sudden there was even projects that were in design, or we were sitting kind of waiting for permitting. People kind of got cold feed, and as to whether or not they wanted to go through with that kind of investment because they weren't too sure. And where's is interest rates, are they going to go up 2 points, 1.8 points? Like, it just wasn't
Mm-hmm.
super clear. So we did see certainly a bit of that, but um yeah, it's all seems to be on track, and now there's some tariffs that we're staring down the barrel of, and who knows.
It's been a
But
fun last 5 years or whatever, eh? I feel like our generation's gone through a lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The '08 recession and the pandemic and now all this
You know,
Trump stuff and we've seen a lot, I feel like.
I read a letter. I wrote a letter to my team last Monday, because it was sort of this underarching, like, we know, like, this is something that needs to be addressed as a company. So as a leader of a company, it's important that you address certain situations. As much as you don't want to talk about it, it was worth bringing up and saying, hey, we do realize this, but the that this is a thing. It's on our certainly on our radar. We're doing everything we can to make sure we're staying on top of it, to just let people know that it's probably not going to affect us, but
Mhm.
again, we're not just blindly avoiding it.
Yeah,
But what it says is, you mentioned '08 and what we saw coming out of that, every single time, whether it was housing crashes in '08, and we saw a bit of a recession there. Actually, quick side story, in it was 2008, and I was working for PCL Construction
yeah.
at
Okay.
that point. So I was hired on at PCL Construction right out of high school. It's like
Speaking of
where
big companies.
big and big companies, yeah. And they had me on as hired me on as a laborer, and then I went through. I was 17 when they hired me. Went through my apprenticeship and got into construction management and all sorts of stuff, and was working my way up through the corporate ladder there. And but in 2008, I was on a project and I was surveying with another surveyor. We both needed new vehicles. They were like, I had a car that was falling apart. He had a car that was kind of falling apart. And we both went out the same night, and I bought, it was like a $2,500, beat up Pathfinder. And he went out and bought this brand new, I don't know, I think it was like a brand new Jet or something, this car that he had always wanted.
Right.
And we showed up the next day, and I was like, yeah, no, I bought a new vehicle last night. And he's like, oh, so did I. Pulled the trigger on it. We were talking about it. He was laughing, and he was like, oh, you paid $2,500 for that thing. And he's like, oh, you gotta, one day you gotta step up and be a grown up and like go out and buy that real car.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And I was kind of down, and I was like, oh man, I'm really not feeling great about my decision right now. No joke. That same day, that same afternoon, our foreman walked up to us and said, we're shutting down. We're sending everything back.
Really?
Yeah, we were building a parkade And the next steps was going to be building a hotel above the parkade. So we got to the top of the parkade, and we had big fly forms that were getting ready. They were like, we were prepping them on the ground. They were ready to like go up and start building the first level of the hotel. And he said, "Yeah, we're sending all the fly forms back to the yard." Shut down, and he was laid off that day.
Wow.
And I wasn't. I was kept on as long as we could, right up until the next couple of years, until had started our own company. But in that moment, I was like, man, all right, like that's a good reminder to never over leverage yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But that was but what came of that out of 2008 was a lot of new companies that were forming, and that was when that arch over the next couple of years of regrowth, I was able to buy my first place because houses were really inexpensive at that point. So that was when I got into the market, was when things really crashed. So that was a very positive
Worked
thing.
in your favor.
Yeah. And then when we see COVID hit, for instance, right? It gave us a point where we had to really relook at things. I mean, it changed the world, right? COVID changed the world for a long time for so many people. But what came of that on the backside of that was, exponential growth and opportunity. Interest rates, same thing. Like, you get hit with some of that. On the backside of that, we know that there's a big upswing coming. And so same thing with, the situation with tariffs. I really like to believe that the overarching trajectory of everyone's livelihood is on a constant upswing. There's going to be bumps, but like macro high level, we're just very blessed to live in the time that we are living in and the world that we're living in, despite kind of everything else. But yeah, very, very fortunate. And it's not something I take lightly.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Speaking of which, being grateful and health and wealth and stuff, how's bench pressing going? How's working out these days?
It's going great. I love it.
Yeah.
You're there every day,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. You hitting your goals?
I guess so. Yeah, it's funny. I don't really have a lot of goals these days when it comes to fitness. It's kind of funny. The physical fitness and exercise is very low down on the priority or benefits of why I do it and why I like to do it. I love to work out because it really helps with my mental health. Like that's my de-stressor. With a busy job, I work pretty long hours. I got 2 young kids, wife, and we got a lot on the go. That's kind of the one time in my life that I just I'm to myself. I put on my headphones, whether it's a podcast or some music or whatever I'm doing. I just kind of get in my own zone, try to think my own thoughts, but I usually end up thinking about work. And you get those good endorphins, and it makes you feel good. It helps with my confidence. I love working out first thing in the morning. It actually gives me more energy for the rest of the day. I find I'm more energetic for work and the family and things that I'm doing. So I love it. And of course, I want to be in shape. I want to be able to, play sports and, do activities and play with my kids and stuff. But yeah, it's, I love it. It was interesting. I was reading an article a little while ago, and it was talking about happiness and how there's 4 chemicals your brain releases in terms of happiness. I can't remember what they all are. I think one of them serotonin, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's up there.
Whatever the other ones are. And it listed, things you could do and eat and whatever to kind of help release each one of these chemicals. And the one thing that ticked all 4 boxes was exercise.
Yeah.
And I was like, no shit. That's what I think about it. So yeah, it's funny. I'm not really there to, necessarily hit a bench press goal or, hit a body fat percentage or, any of those kind of things. I'm just kind of there to bust my ass and then get on with the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It feels weird when you show up to your day if you haven't worked out, if you're used to that.
That's how I feel, man. I'm so used to it, and I feel off if I haven't Exercised, yeah.
Yeah, it a huge proponent for it. It plays a huge part of my life, and the same thing for a lot of the reasons that that you've explained. But you you show up, you exercise, you work out, and it is a cure for so much, whether it's going to be stress or anxiety.
Totally.
Like you talk about those endorphins that get released. It just puts you in a much better position for the day. And I have, and you have, a responsibility. And when I look at it, I have a responsibility to show up to my team, to my staff, to
Yeah.
my customers, to my wife, to my daughter, to my family, to my friends, to show up and be the absolute best version of myself that I can.
Totally.
And that's on the back end of getting swole. You know what I mean?
Getting swole.
Getting
On
swole.
it.
But you can ADD. I've talked about this as well. ADD was big buzzword back when I was in high school, and for years was put on pills to help like focus and concentrate, and all sorts of stuff. And so many people are on this day so much medication and SSRIs and things to help them concentrate, things that like um, help alleviate depression, and there's definitely a place for that. But like if you can get out and work out and exercise, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, hell, even like 3 times a week, and walk, like it is going to do absolute wonders.
Mhm.
And if you can just work that into, this is my, this is just a part of my life, like brushing your teeth or going to work, and just accept that, like you're not only going to look good, but you're going to feel good. Your mind is going to be sharper. You're going to naturally default to making better choices because you're not going to be partying as much because you want to get out and go to the gym. You want to eat healthier, so you're making better decisions on what you're eating. And like these are just very good, healthy things. You're going to start prioritizing sleep in a lot of cases. If you're dealing with toddlers and newborns and stuff, it's a bit of a different conversation for a little while, but it's challenging. But yeah, you start really prioritizing these things, and it becomes a much better, healthier, happier life. And that I think that like that should just compounds. And I encourage everybody to get out there, and whether you're walking through the gym or just mental reasons, you don't have to have, like you said, a body fat percentage target, or your biceps or your quads getting to like a certain size. um, but the sheer just like mental focus that you have after the gym is plays a huge role in
Your life, right?
just life and health and success. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. So cheers to health.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. A lot of people talk about motivation, right? Like I have motivated to go to the gym, I'm motivated to work out, or I'm not. I didn't have the motivation. And um, motivation comes and goes, and I think you need to find a way to build that consistency, right? And I've kind of just built it into my lifestyle, and it's just something I do. It's not something I think about, should I or should I not. It's just something I do. And that's why, I guess, I don't know, a weird way, I love working out on all the times where I don't want to, when I don't feel great, or I'm really, yes, 2 nights ago, yesterday morning, I slept for like an hour and a half. My kid woke me up. I just couldn't fall back asleep. Was thinking about work, thinking about shit. Got up, hammered it out. And I just know that I'm always going to show up, right? I'm not going to rely on motivation. I'm not going to look at what the weather is outside. I'm not going to think about how I feel. It's just something you bake into your schedule.
That's the thing about motivation. Like it's easy to do shit when you're motivated,
But that comes and goes.
and that comes and goes, right? It flares up, it flares down, it burns bright, it burns out. But it's just that consistency and showing up. And when you have no motivation and you're showing up to do what you told yourself you were going to do, that builds confidence,
Mhm.
that builds motivation. And that's when the work begins. It's easy if you're like for the first, if you're starting a new business, for example, right? It is easy to like get in there in the first, few months, even like first year, 2 years, you're still very like burnt because you're very
Got
optimistic.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You,
yeah.
you're just like, you're ready to go full of energy. And then all of a sudden you kind of hit a couple of road bumps and you lose that motivation and you get tired and you don't want to do that boring work anymore. You don't want to deal with the like first bad client that you've had to deal with because you've never like that just hits a complexity ceiling that you've never had to deal with before.
Mhm.
And it's easy to lose motivation. It's easy to blame other things, but when you're able to just push through that, and it's like I don't need that motivation. It's just what I do. I don't need the motivation to do that. If I have motivation, then awesome. I'm going to be able to lift, a bit more weight or run a little bit longer, and I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But even without motivation, like it's just you gotta show up to the things that you
Yeah.
commit to yourself.
I think you and I both really like going to conventional gym, and I think both of us like the majority of our exercise ends up being weights. I'm actually really looking forward to the better weather. I'm going to get back to running the stairs at Fregentdale Park. That's
Yes,
another
yes,
thing that I
sir.
really like to do. But I think it's really important that people try to find whatever exercise they enjoy, right? Whether that's walking, whether that's running, whether that's lifting weights, yoga, swimming, playing hockey, doing calisthenics, doing bodybuilding, doing powerlifting, doing banded shit,
Yeah,
whatever, right? Find what works for you. And, walking is a great exercise. If you like to walk, put on your headphones and go for a walk, right? Like what biking, whatever works for you, right? So,
yeah. It's easier if you hate CrossFit, then the goal isn't to like go to CrossFit and you're not going to do that for a long time. So like
totally.
there's not a lot of motivation there because you
You
don't
enjoy it.
enjoy it.
Exactly.
But if the goal is I want to put some form of exercise into my life because I know it's healthy, then there's a lot of vehicles that can get you there.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, yeah, like you said, it's tennis or playing soccer, team sports or
100%.
Swimming, like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Just move your body.
just move the body. Yeah,
Yeah.
my daughter, I mean, she's 3.5, almost 4 now. I guess at the time that we're recording this, and so obviously I know like her entire future is I know exactly who she's going to be and she's not going to change and all that. Um, obviously I'm joking, but the uh, she seems to be anyways very interested in like sporty stuff. She's not super into painting and
Mm-hmm.
and artsy stuff. And I think that's probably because she knows that myself and her mom, like she sees us
Mm-hmm.
uh exercising and
Doing
prior
yoga and stuff.
yeah, and prioritizing that. And so I think it's they say it's often it's caught, not what's taught.
Yeah.
Right. So you catch a lot of what it is that surrounds you, the information that you get. It's not like sitting in front of a teacher that's telling you and saying, hey, exercise is good,
Yeah.
go and exercise, or hey, go and this way of thinking is the way that you should be thinking, so go and think that way. But it's what you absorb in your surroundings and with the people that are closest to you and who you spend the most time with and everything. So you end up, and I think she's catching definitely a bit of that because she's very active. And I'm certainly encouraging that. So yeah, I'm excited
Love
about
it.
to see where that goes.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Go.
How old are your kids now?
So my daughter's about 4.5, and then my son just turned 2 on March 8th, so just recently.
Yeah.
It's a fun time, birthday party.
Yeah. You're in it. Yeah, we got
We're in
another one on the way. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah. So coming in.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. June. So
Can't remember. Do
let
you
us
know the gender? Are you finding out the gender?
You man, yeah, another baby girl.
Oh, it's another girl. Oh,
Yeah,
right on.
yeah. So I'm still girl dad for
Girl
life.
dad.
But it has having girls. I mean, it's it. I mean, one girl is, fantastic, but and I don't have a second yet, so, but I just, man, it has opened up my heart in a way that
100%.
I didn't know, was even really possible.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
agree.
cool.
I
It's very
agree.
cool.
I agree.
But I do have to say this. I'm having this conversation with a friend of mine, and it was actually one of my business coaches. He had said it, and he's like, one of a friend of mine was going on holidays, and business coach I'm working with, he had mentioned, he's like, yeah, I gotta go on vacation, and I hate vacation, but my wife wants me to go, and I thought that was awesome because he's done an incredible job of creating this beautiful life where where every day is sort of like a vacation. There's a little, shit here and there, I'm sure, that goes on, but he's, really loving every day. And so when he said, um, I don't like vacation, that was like it almost gave me permission. I felt like I was given permission at that point to be like, hey, it's okay to not like vacation and just, appreciate your, the
Day to
routine
day,
and the
yeah,
work that
yeah.
you do. And because I find a lot of um fulfillment in what I do, and love getting up every day and trying to be a better version of myself, and a
Mhm.
better father, better business owner, better communicator, all that sort of stuff. But it was and the other weekend, I mean, after like crawling around on the ground, like Saturday mornings, I have my daughter, and crawling around with her on the ground, dressing up as a princess, and then pretending, like I'm a shark, and then pretending I'm a turtle, and then like we're doing this for, close to 3 hours, just to us. I'm like, man, there's a part of me that feels like I should really be enjoying this, but kind of just want to act like an adult right
Yeah,
now. And you know what?
yeah.
And I'm just gonna go out and say that this was fun for a half hour. And
Yeah, yeah.
now you realize, you're like, okay, it's just like it's not fun anymore, and I'm not going to feel guilty about that or start asking myself why that isn't fun. It's just like it's just not super fun.
Of course.
It's just not super fun. It's just pretending I'm a shark on the ground. Like, I can only do that for so long, but you do it for them, and you do it because that's what she is getting an absolute kick out of. And so, yeah, you gotta put in that time even when you don't want it. But it was that conversation that with my business coach, when he had said, uh have permission to not enjoy vacation, I was like, I'm gonna give myself permission to want to be an
Yeah,
adult
be
in
yourself.
these in
Of
these
course.
moments.
Of course. You can
Yeah,
only do the kid stuff for so long.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you play sports when you were growing up?
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
loved
were
it.
you into?
Football and basketball were kind of my favorite. Soccer when I was younger, and then I actually got really into skateboarding. I really liked skateboarding, and then
Yeah.
I got pretty big and probably not the right size for skateboarding.
Like tall, you mean? Like tall, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, football and basketball were probably my favorites, and then it kind of turned into basketball. Probably the older I got, turned it was my favorite. Yeah, I
yeah,
loved it. I played sports religiously, actually.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. How's what's diet like day to day?
My diet,
Yeah.
I eat pretty well, actually. Usually, so it's funny. My whole life, I eat breakfast religiously. I could never even imagine not eating breakfast. Now, what I've been doing is just a protein shake after I work out. So I
Mhm.
usually just take it with water. I just do 2 scoops of protein. Sometimes I'll have like a banana or something with it, and that usually gets me through to about lunch. Sometimes lunch is 10:30, sometimes it's 2:30. It's just kind of whatever. So yeah, for lunch, like if I'm working from home, I'll usually just make myself some kind of, protein, just chicken, steak, fish, kind of whatever, and then just something with it, some sort of veg or something like that. And then for dinner, I actually do pretty much all the cooking. I genuinely really love to cook. It's like one of my passions nowadays.
Yeah.
So I usually do the cooking, and same thing. I usually make healthy dinners. Again, just a protein and then some sort of carb or veg or, both with it. And then usually late night is when I tend to like snack more.
I get you.
I've been like that my whole life. Like I'll eat so well during the day, and then right when like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that hits, I just want everything under the sun.
Yeah, you're like, fuck it, I just need another bowl of cereal. And yeah,
It's
I
funny you
just
say that. I
whatever.
was always a big cereal kid when I was growing up. I'd eat like 20 bowls of cereal and then go to bed 5 seconds later. Probably don't need to do that,
Yeah.
but yeah, the majority of my I would say 95% of the foods I eat is, just good healthy proteins and carb sources, whether it be, rice or potatoes or pasta or whatever, and then just different veggies. And we still order our pizza and shit usually on a, Friday or Saturday kind of thing. And we have a nice little balance. And I'm not drinking too much alcohol these days. Of course, we are literally drinking some
Well,
whiskey right now
this is a special
as
occasion.
we're doing
This is a
it.
very
But yeah,
special
the
occasion,
older I
of course.
get, the less and less I drink alcohol nowadays. And yeah, just try to eat foods that make me feel good. To be honest, now if I go and eat fast food or something, I feel like shit for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Not even a couple hours. Like I'll wake up the next morning and I can like feel my body like almost like bogged down, if that makes sense. And funny enough, if when I feel like that, I go and work out and I can quite literally like feel my metabolism like rev up and like chew through the shit I've put in my body. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
about you? What do you eat?
Yeah, man. I pretty well the same thing every
Yeah.
day. In the mornings, I'll eat. Actually, I was on a shout out to Coach Alan Dick. He put me on a for a while there a really good plan, and I still follow it pretty closely, just understanding macros, so proteins, carbs, fats for what's going to move the needle if you're trying to cut weight, cut body fat, put on muscle. So understanding kind of what that baseline is, and then where you need to add and what you need to cut out.
Mhm.
So it was great. Um, it only like that particular meal plan that I was on works well paired with exercise
Right.
for sure. So in the morning, rice cake with peanut butter and jam. So you get a little fat, little something in your stomach, typically before I eat up. So I eat that within about 45 minutes of waking up, or about an hour just
Yeah.
before I go to the gym.
Yeah.
So it's light, but you get a little, like the jams are good because you get a bit of
sugar
natural
yeah.
sugar in
Yeah.
there. And then I hit the gym, get back home, and then I hit a protein. So it's like a whey isolate, just protein with water. So
Mhm.
good, clean protein. And then I'll have a banana. Or like third meal, I guess that would be of the day is oats. So I do boiled oats with raisins and a bit of maple syrup and a little cinnamon.
Nice.
So get that done. So you get like a slow burning carb
Yeah.
with a fast acting natural sugar.
Mhm.
So that gives you a bit of energy. And then meal after that is a little like half cup to a cup of rice, like brown rice. Also, which sounds weird, but with a little maple syrup and also
Canada.
some raisins on top. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of maple syrup lately.
Yeah.
And so yeah, well, also with a little cinnamon, and that's been really good. And that's that kind of like second carb, also like natural sugar blast. Lunch is basically chicken and veggies. And then I have a protein shake usually before I leave the office. So before dinner. And then dinner is just usually just a meat and a vegetable. So that'll be like a steak and broccoli or chicken and cauliflower,
Yeah.
something along those lines. So
Nice.
that's
You
kind of
eat
like
really
that.
well.
Yeah. So but when you start doing that, you notice, and because if you're eating this kind of the same thing every day, then your body knows what it's going to be
It's like
expecting
expecting
next,
it. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if you're eating and you're fluctuating in times and everything, then your body's going to store calories.
Yep.
That it needs to, because it's like I haven't eaten for a while. I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I don't know what I'm getting the next meal. So I'm gonna store that fat. And because it's simply just not gonna know what to do with it. So if you keep your body in like, your body will do what your body's supposed to do if it knows what it's going to be getting. And so
Yeah.
like business hates uncertainty. Cut shredded bodies also hate uncertainty when it comes to food. And I'm not a nutritionist. This is just like stuff that I've learned, and I'm sure somebody out there listening will probably tear me apart.
It's
So
turning into a bro podcast.
Yeah. But it was oh, that's just what I've what I've learned. But we were on a start this meal plan. It was on a cleanse, 16-day cleanse, and dropped 14 pounds in 16 days. Kept it off. It's just like cutting out a lot of the stuff that you don't need in your body. And whether you're man, woman, 400 pounds, 150 pounds, like the cleanse is going to do for your body what your body needs it to do.
Yeah.
So it
flushes out like the toxins and all just the crap. And
yeah.
Actually, related to that, my dad has had health challenges over the last several years, and the kind of traditional Western doctor, if you will, kind of told him, there's nothing you can do, wait around. And so he decided to take matters into his own hands, and he ended up seeing an Eastern medicine doctor, like a Chinese doctor, and that practiced non-traditional medical like techniques that we refer to here in North America. And one of the things that he would do is he had basically like a clear fishbowl, if you will, and it had like a clear liquid. I can't remember what it was, but my dad would put his hands in it for half an hour, and within half an hour, the whole bowl would be completely black.
Yeah.
You couldn't see through it. And my mom said like the doctor could point at all the different discolorations and say like, okay, those are the metals that were in your body.
Yeah.
Here's the fatty acids, like here's the toxins, and like, quite literally all the shit was just coming out of his hands that are just like clogged down in your body. And my mom said it was the most disgusting thing she's ever seen. But I'm sure it's great for your body. Get that stuff
it's good for your body, but that stuff's in everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
It is. But it is. I've seen like the same thing you do for like the foot baths, and you just like drain all the toxins over like the bottoms of your feet, and you kind of like feel sick afterwards. I think when your body gets drained of all that for a little bit until you start to recalibrate it. The let me ask you this, back to tools. We went on a big tangent
we did.
on everything else, but are there like big tool rivalries between between companies, or is that just like more of a consumer thing? Because there's like a big, you get the guys that are all going to be DeWalt, and the guys that are like diehard Makita, or the guys that are diehard Milwaukee. Is that just more of a consumer thing, Coke versus Pepsi thing, or is there like
I know what you mean.
Is there like a Milwaukee versus Makita softball tournament at the end of the year? That's just like,
I wish.
Yeah, that you can. Nothing like that.
No. There's like it's obviously very competitive, but the competition there is more just business related. No different than whatever. Walmart wants to kill Canadian Tire, or whatever else, right? Within individual people that work for companies, there is definitely a lot of that. I personally don't have any of that. I don't like. I want to beat the shit out of the competition in a business sense. I want to, convert all their tools and turn them into Milwaukee, of course, but not in terms of a personal thing. And there's definitely is a lot of reps for different companies that do take it very personal. But having said that, it's kind of funny. We have a very, very unique history of Milwaukee, if you will, and I've always had quite a hatred for DeWalt, and I'll tell you the story. It's kind of a little bit funny. So, Milwaukee has actually been around for 101 years. Last year was our 100th anniversary. 1924.
Wow.
And Milwaukee's never a huge brand. They made a whole hog and a couple tools. Obviously, we invented the Sawzall, was one of their bread and butters. Technically, everyone else has a reciprocating saw, and we have a patented Sawzall. It's kind of like Kleenex and tissues or whatever, right? So, anyways, it was kind of a mild brand. They partnered with Henry Ford, and they made a whole shooter for the production of cars way back when. And so, anyways, they have their whole history there. And when the brand really blew up and kind of started to grow and turn into this, mega brand that it is today, it was close to 20 years ago. So they brought on a CEO named Joe Galli. So he's American. He's from Pittsburgh, and he personally launched DeWalt. So he worked for Stanley Black and Decker. They wanted to launch a separate pro brand, and they said, "Hey, you're a superstar guy. Go launch a brand." So he launched DeWalt. And funny enough, the reason that DeWalt is the color of yellow and black is because he's from Pittsburgh, and all their sports teams are yellow and black. So the Steelers, the Penguins,
yeah,
that's why DeWalt is yellow and black.
Okay.
So anyway, so he started that brand, and in Canada, we had a lot of, high players, I guess, in Stanley Black and Decker that were big dogs. And when Joe took over the company in the States or globally, he wanted to build out a Canadian team. So he brought over a guy named Craig Baxter, who still to this day is our Canadian TTI president, who is obviously a stud at Stanley Black and Decker. And then slowly over the next several years, Craig started poaching all of DeWalt's best people to come over to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So there was obviously quite a lot of that between DeWalt and Milwaukee. So yeah, there definitely was a lot of tension there, or not tension, but I think the Milwaukee guys had a chip on their shoulder of like, I went to this new company because I believe in it. Look what we're doing, and the reason that Milwaukee has really by far turned into the biggest tool brand in the world is because Joe, not only being a smart guy, but how many people get to launch a brand twice in their career? That's pretty rare, right? So he looked at all the things he did with DeWalt. Obviously, he took all the good he did, and he knew all the bad to change, right? And so like one of the biggest things he did was launch our technology called Fuel.
Yeah, right? Yeah. The Fuel, that's a battery.
So a lot of other companies will call their tools brushless because they have a brushless motor. Fuel has a brushless motor as well, but there's more to Fuel than just brushless. So yes, it has a brushless motor, but we took a unique stance where we custom build every motor for every tool. So a lot of brands would drop basically the same motor in a circ saw and a table saw and a miter saw. We build everything from the ground up. We were the first company to launch lithium-ion batteries. So when DeWalt and other companies were selling millions and millions of dollars of NiCad, nickel cadmium batteries, we were the first to say, hey, we're getting into this lithium-ion stuff. And the other brands laughed at us and said, you fucking idiots, we're selling like $100 million of NiCad batteries. You're morons. Yeah. So we've always had a real legacy.
Was that just because they were gonna these batteries were going to die faster so that they could sell more?
It's just a way better technology. So like all the old shit that you could remember about batteries, power tools or otherwise. So stuff like the memory effect in NiCad batteries, where if you charged a battery full and then over time, if you discharged it 50% and charged it up again, eventually that would be its new lifespan. It would kind of forget the total charge, runtime.
That's what they say with like batteries, run them down until they're almost
so you don't have to do
zero, and then you can charge them up and otherwise it's going to like kill the battery faster.
So none of that with lithium ion stuff, like fade free performance. So with NiCad batteries, as the battery would lose charge, the performance would slowly go down with it. That doesn't happen with lithium ion. You get 100% power until the last second. And that's why we literally have a fuel gauge on the battery to see how much juice do I have. Because typically in the past, your drill's not drilling that fast. I only have a quarter battery left. This sucker will drill. And then the last was this RedLink Intelligence, which was the essentially like chip or technology, if you will, in the tool. So they would communicate, the motor and the battery and the charger having a two-way communication. It's at such a high level nowadays that it's absurd. But kind of the easiest analogy I've always used to kind of try to articulate what this intelligence technology does is, let's say you were driving in your car and you were on cruise control. You were going 90 kilometers an hour on the highway. Let's say all of a sudden you went up a really steep hill. Your car or your gears or whatever would figure out, hey, I got to do something different to maintain that same speed up this hill, right? So kind of same thing with the tools now. Like they actually sense the load on the motor. the motor is custom built for that application of cutting or drilling or fastening or whatever you're doing, and it's sensing it all the time, and it's providing juice to the motor how it needs to. And there's a lot more to it than that. So something like you could take a particular battery, let's say a 5.0 battery, you could slap it on an impact driver, and let's say you're driving in deck screws.
Yeah.
It's a very, very low draw application. You could probably drive a few thousand off a single charge, right? When you put that battery on that impact driver, it knows what tool it's on. Basically, the tool and motor high five and go, "Oh, impact driver, what's up, dog?" And then
what's going on?
Right. And it's sensing how much juice it has to give the motor to still perform 100% application, but withhold as much as possible to extend that runtime, right? Now, if you put that same battery on a circ saw or a grinder or a very high drawing tool, it knows what's on it, and it basically knows right away, oh, I got to give it 100% all the time, or else it'll bog down. The second you hit a knot, you're done. Or the second you hit a whatever, if you're welding, you're grinding for a weld or something. So yeah, it's very interesting. So that was kind of the major technology that allowed Milwaukee to turn into the brand. And then what we've done so well is with that fuel technology, we keep improving the battery technology, we keep improving the motors, we keep improving the electronics, but we keep the same footprint and have for 20 years. So we've got M12, 12 volt. We've got M18. In the last 5 years, we have MX fuel. So we have 3 battery platforms, but we've never changed that footprint. So like you could buy a battery off the shelf today, pop it in your drill from 20 years ago. Not only is it compatible, it's actually going to improve the performance of the drill. Whereas all of our competitors, to keep up with the latest technology, they keep having to change footprint. So DeWalt will launch FlexVolt or Atomic, or Hilti now is forcing people into Neuron.
That was like one of the things that I hated about that, because it was like, oh man, like your battery dies and you go to the store and you have different batteries that fit like different things. And you're like, shit, I left my drill at home. Am I like, I forgot what that is. Am I gonna buy the right battery?
So none of that with Milwaukee.
It's like the razor blades, right? I mean, I go through a ton of razor blades because I shave my head every day. But it was like the same thing when I go to the store. I'm like, is it like the Gillette? Is it like the Mach 5 or the 4? And like I have a ton of little razors that fit different heads, and I'm just like, I'm gonna buy a head because I know like the blades, because I know at some point I have a shaft that's gonna fit it, but I don't remember what it is. But it'd be a lot better if there was just like that one boom. It didn't matter what kind of blades you went and bought; they were just gonna fit. And that's something I don't ever want to have to worry about.
You're in the like the rescon space, right? Think if you had a PCL, or if you owned a subcontracting company, some of the big ones we work with. Let's take a PCL site, New St. Paul's Hospital that they're building downtown.
Yeah, it's going on forever.
Yep,
everyone's in there.
We've got Modern Niagara's the big mechanical company on there. We've got Plan Group is the big electrical company. There's 5 million subs on there, but those are kind of the big players there, right?
Yeah.
Let's say a Modern Niagara, they've got, I would say, $3 million of Milwaukee Tools on that site alone, right? If we all of a sudden say, hey, we've launched Neuron, your $3 million of battery tools are obsolete.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal for you, right? So so it really protects your investment. And if people are deciding what tool brand should I go with, especially to start a project or to start a company, that's a huge selling feature. Like, hey, we're never, ever, ever going to leave you behind. In 2060, you're going to buy the 5000.0 battery and you're going to pop it in your tool from 2007 and it's going to rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
And then what's also nice too is like, we sell pretty much every tool we sell. We either do a bare tool or a kit. So bare tool meaning just the tool only, a kit meaning it'll come with batteries and a charger. So if you're someone on a big site like that, okay, I need to tool up. We're in a different phase of the project. I need to buy 40 bandsaws. You can buy tool only. You already have the batteries and chargers on site, and you already know no matter what, it's M18. It's going to fit with everything. It's a 5.0 battery, an 8.0, a 12.0. It doesn't matter. It fits everything. Right. So it just simplifies things. Like one thing Makita does is they actually literally have a chart, and it's like this battery will fit on that tool, but not this tool. But this charger, but it can't charge on that. Like I remember even talking to one of the local Makita reps. He's like, dude, I can't even keep it straight. And I work for the company, so not to slam on any other tool brands. I would never do that. Like
you're here to do, so maybe you can a little bit.
I don't want to do that. Like,
all right.
Makita and DeWalt and, Hilti, all these companies, they all make great products. They're big tool brands for a reason too. It'd be silly to think otherwise, but we have a really big competitive advantage. And then one of the other things that we do really, really well, and I always say it probably sounds kind of silly, but another reason outside of the technology that I kind of refer to us as sort of the Apple is we take the approach of we send out our product managers in the field and we send them all over. I just had 2 power and utility guys come up from Milwaukee and we toured them around to BC Hydro for a week, and they get belly to belly with the end user and they figure out what are the frustrations that you're dealing with, whether it's net new frustrations and we can develop a tool that solves that, whether it's our existing product that might work well, but hey, we don't like the ergonomics, or it'd be great if it did this or whatever else. And then they come back and they reverse engineer to build a product to solve that, right? A lot of companies, power tools and otherwise, they get a bunch of smart people, a bunch of techie people, engineers in a room, and they just try to think of something that's really cool, and then hopefully it solves the problem.
Yeah.
We take the opposite, right? And a great example of that is a lot of people don't know this, but one of the big, huge emerging kind of product categories for Milwaukee now is PPE. A lot of people don't realize that we're in the PPE space. So we're doing a lot of really, really innovative stuff with head protection. We've got a new glove technology that'll come out in about a year that'll be completely new to world that nothing has ever seen. Like you probably think, it's a glove. It's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before. So even head protection, it's a hard hat. What can you really do? Is it comfortable? Is it not? Right? There's a whole bunch of features of the hard hat itself. The material we use is basically the same as what they put in NFL helmets now. It's very strong. So it's a great actual product itself, but one of the biggest differentiators is we have these bolt accessories. So when we got in the market and did R&D, we realized, so many people are quite literally duct taping their headlamps or their not headphones, earmuffs.
I've seen that. Yeah.
We literally see guys literally drilling into their hard hat to attach stuff to it. Like, that's supposed to be protecting your head, dude. Like,
we're kind of compromising the engineering of kind of the point of this.
Important, right? So what we did is, like, we have a spot at the front, we have a spot at the back, mostly for lighting, and then we've got 6 slots, 3 on either side, and you can clip in all these different accessories, and no matter what you're wearing, everything is compatible and works with each other. So, like, you can have a headlamp here and a face shield on. Your face shield can lift up. It's not hitting your lamp. Your lamp can be clicked down. You can have earmuffs on. On the back ones, you can have a sunshade to protect your neck. On this one, you can, so it's like, it's now turned into a modular system. You can pick whatever accessories you need for your job and your application, and it all works together. It's kind of what we learned with, I'm sure you're familiar with our pack out storage system. Everything clips together.
Oh yeah. Like the toolboxes
the
stack on.
Right?
Oh man, it's
so we've got
toolboxes.
We've got toolboxes with drawers. We've got backpacks and totes and radios and like a million different products, and we're always launching more. And everything clips together. You buy whatever works for you, and it turns into a modular system. We're doing the same with head protection. And now what we're doing is the 12 like sort of biggest GCs in Canada. So PCL, Graham, Acon, Elliston, Leadcore, Dragados, like all those kind of big guys. Bird, they have now all partnered, and they've formed a national health and safety committee. And they're trying to drive changes in the industry. They're not trying to be selfish and say, me. They're saying, hey, how can we partner and make construction safer in Canada, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the first things they're trying to do is they're trying to move the industry from type 1 hard hats to type 2 helmets with a chin strap. So type 1 meaning you only have top impact protection. Type 2 meaning you have top and side and back impact protection, and then also a chin strap. And if you
So if you want to go rock climbing for whatever reason, like
it,
that would be
it kind of
where you
looks
would-
like a rock climbing or like a bike up. But if you think, snowboarding, mountain biking, race car driving, anything else that you'd wear a helmet, do you wear a hard hat? No.
No.
You wear a helmet with a chin strap that's going to stay on your fucking head, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's
There was. I was sorry to interrupt. We're working with. We're building a brewery right now up in Squamish, and the iron workers that are up there. We're installing a big steel mezzanine right now,
Mhm.
and I noticed those guys. They had chin straps on their helmets, and they looked like they.
Yep.
I mean, it was Squamish, so I kind of was like, "Are you guys
Maybe
rock
you guys are
climbers?
just
Maybe you
weird,
guys
yeah.
are just like rock climbers, and you're kind of weird, anyways." But anyways, awesome dudes. I didn't pay too much attention to it,
Yep.
but I remember the chin strap. I remember thinking. That's kind of weird
And
looking
that's the thing,
on the
right?
construction
Is
site.
guys think it's weird. Guys think it's lame. I'm not gonna wear a chin strap. I'm not gonna wear that rock climbing thing. But I'm telling you right now, in the next, I would guess, year, if not 2 years, your entire company will be wearing them. It will be mandated across Canada. That is their entire goal right now. That's what they're focused on. It's funny, I was sitting down or had lunch at White Spot, speaking of us being in BC.
White Spot, yeah, the
And,
number one kid rated.
There you go.
Yeah,
Pirate
Spot.
Packs.
That's
We didn't have
my,
a pirate pack.
my daughter's like big into she's on a French fry and ice cream kick right now.
Okay.
So yeah, when it's White Spot after swimming,
Yeah,
she loves that. It's like they let you, the kids, they run around. You kind of know like White Spot is a great spot because when you sit down and like the kids, if they're running around and doing whatever, you're kind of like, yeah, it's White Spot. Like, what do you expect? And it's like kind of a comfortable thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted your story.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
So sorry. So yeah, I had lunch with the BC buyer from Elliston, and Elliston nationally has adopted our Type 2 safety helmets over the last few years. So they're buying thousands of them, and it's very interesting. They're starting to try to drive compliance with all their subs on site to switch to Type 2 head protection. And he actually said recently that what they're going to start doing now is for any subs or anyone that bids on any Elliston jobs, you actually have to prove that you're going to provide Type 2 protection in the bidding process, or else you don't even get a sniff at getting the job in the first place.
Really?
So yeah, it's just a matter of time. And what we've done is we've partnered with these 12 big GCs that have formed this national safety committee, whatever. And we did our first trip last year. We took them all down to our facility in Milwaukee, ran them through what we're doing from an R&D standpoint, blah, 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 gave them the spiel. And now we're getting them. You tell us what you need in terms of the future of safety in the construction industry. And now we're going to start developing products that solve that. So now we're partnered with all these guys. We're getting the user to sit down, right? Like we're getting the race car driver to sit down and say, put that in the car.
Yeah.
And then that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So that same kind of philosophy that we've taken in the power tool space and the accessories and the other shit we do, we're now doing that in PP and getting like proactive with it. So it's a very cool company to work for. It's very dynamic. We're all about launching new products. It's a new product factory. I always make the joke. It's impossible to keep up with the product launches working for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, but that's what makes it so fun. There's always new products. There's always new shit going on. And
yeah. Hell yeah. No, that's pretty wild. DeWalt's not doing that? Is that what you're saying?
I can say that they're not doing
They're
that.
not doing that.
But I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. You're not a Steelers fan, though.
I am not. Unfortunately, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Cowboys fan.
Yeah. Everyone makes fun of me.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. They didn't do too well this year.
No, they're terrible.
Yeah, they're terrible. They used to be good. There was a time.
Yeah, they're okay. In the 90s.
Yeah. Unreal. So what it's I do love what you said. Do you want another one of these or like a half one of these? Okay, give me a sec.
Full one, half one. Oh, that's why it's so good.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law would be jealous.
Yeah, some real
Thanks, man. Love it.
real scotch there for you.
What's your background?
I'm actually part English, part Scottish.
Okay, my mom's Scottish.
I make the joke.
I thought so.
I have so many internal battles, and now I can just say myself.
Yeah, my mom was actually born in Edinburgh.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. They immigrated to Canada when she was 12, I believe. Back in here.
There we go.
Right on.
So when I say whiskey, I mean single malt Scotch in an espresso
Cheers.
cup.
Yeah.
Cheers. I I love what you said. That's good about finding the problem that needs to be solved and solving it. So not chasing new problems to solve. There is the sort of flip side to that, right? There's the saying, and it was I think it was because you mentioned Henry Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Henry Ford that said, if I was to ask the people what they wanted, they would have wanted more horses. Right. But he's like, I didn't give them. I gave them a problem that they didn't know that they needed to solve.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's something to be said for that. And I agree. Like if there's real problems that need to be solved, go out there, find that problem that needs to be solved, and then focus your time and energy on making sure that you can service that customer, service that problem. Because at the end of the day, if what you offer isn't solving some sort of pain in the industry or in somebody's life, then you're probably not going to be able to do them any sort of service or bring them any sort of value.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that. I love that you guys are doing that, and the approach of like what you said, the belly to belly, really getting to know the people on the front line. Like, what is it like? Does this work well in the rain? Is it slippery? Is the grip here? Does it like follow to your belt? Does it clip onto your belt?
Mm-hmm.
Does it fit inside like these pouches, or do you like, can you fit an extra battery in there? Like, do you need to carry one? All of these types of things are things that need to consider. So I like getting really, really granular about finding a problem that needs to be solved and solving that. But yeah, on the flip side as well, like the chin straps, like you said, and going back to Henry Ford here a bit, but the chin straps, I mean, that wasn't really, like you said, has been not a problem for hundreds of years. But that chin strap, all of a sudden, once people are introduced to it, or you see the first couple of like, weirdos on site wearing that, you start asking yourself, I like Blundstones, for instance. It was like you see like Blundstones, and you're like, what are we? These things don't have laces.
Yeah, right.
What? These are ridiculous. Yeah. What does this look like? These things are so dumb. And then all of a sudden you see more of them. You're like, maybe there's something to this.
But then you put your foot in them and you're like, oh, I get it.
I never knew that having laces was a problem until I put on a shoe or a boot that all of a sudden you didn't have laces in. And now you're like, fuck laces. Yeah, what do I need those things for? Get real. But no, but back to that, I also think that there's value, in a tremendous amount of value, in looking ahead at what can make life better that isn't necessarily viewed as a problem for your customers, but looking ahead and saying, I recognize there's a trend here. And if we introduce this, it may not be a problem yet, but once it's introduced, we are going to solve something that people didn't even know that we need to be solved. And once we do, there's no turning back.
Right. Well, I mean, even like with the chin strap thing, it's funny. When we did our research, so 70% of the head injuries in the construction industry in North America comes from slips, trips, and falls, not from objects actually hitting your head. So it's from falling and your helmet's there and you don't have the impact there, or slipping and it actually falls off your head and you hit it. So the chin, much like you wouldn't go downhill mountain biking without a chin strap, you go over the handlebars, it's just gonna fly off your head, right?
Yeah.
So similar approach we've done with gloves. Like we've launched these high dexterity gloves, and a lot of manufacturers have high dexterity gloves. There's a lot of really nice ones in the market, like Watson Stealth are one of the main ones. And again, I think it's against, actually, funny enough, 70% of hand injuries actually happen from guys taking off gloves and not putting it back on. So what we've done is we've made
I always wear my gloves. I never have a problem until the one time that I take them off, or I don't wear my gloves, and now and that looks as it's sort of
right. So we've addressed that in three ways. So these gloves, we've actually hired the guy that invented the Under Armour material that made the brand. So I didn't know this, but he has a PhD in fabric. Didn't know that was a thing.
I had still
I studied the wrong
I'm
thing
still
at
not even
school.
confident that that's a thing. I'll take your word
Yeah.
for it right now, but we'll have to do some research.
I did commerce at university. I think I should have done
I
fabric.
didn't even go to university, so but if I did, I'm sure it would have been like to get a doctorate or a master's
That's
in
right.
fabric
That's it,
engineering.
in fabric,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So, anyways, yeah. So he developed these 18 gauge gloves, and the dexterity you have, and like a cut. We go from cut level 2 all the way to 9, and the feel's incredible. Like all our trades are picking them up, but especially electrical, where you really want to feel that really fine work, right? So that's one of the reasons guys take off their gloves. They don't have enough feel to do what they're doing, so that keeps your gloves on. Then they're very, very breathable, so your hands don't get hot
and cold
when it's hot out. Guys are taking off the gloves. And then lastly, we have the smart swipe. So on the fingertips, you can still work a phone or a tablet. So again,
smart,
with
very
technology
smart.
on the job site, that's why guys take off their
because
gloves. Right?
we also didn't used to live in a world where you as a site super would
your blueprints are on an iPad.
Yeah.
So just by doing that, like, yeah, they're a great glove, but the success we're seeing is just because people keep them on their freaking hands.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then, funny enough, like we say this to HSC guys all the time. It's the same thing with our safety glasses. As silly as it sounds, guys keep our glasses and gloves on their hands because they just like wearing the brand. They just think the brand's cool. No one thinks UVEC is cool.
Yeah,
no one thinks 3M is cool. You give them Milwaukee safety glasses, and it's incredible. Like, you should show up to a job site. I never ever thought before I worked for Milwaukee Tools, so many grown men would want stickers.
Yeah.
Everyone wants stickers. I'm like, you're 50 years old. You're seriously begging me for a sticker. Here you go. You're 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of funny.
Yeah, I used to snowboard competitively for a number of years.
That. Is that Barry?
Actually, funny enough, Barry and I have a very similar.
Really good.
Yeah. So we have a very similar story that we connected on. So I didn't know Barry. Like we snowboard together now, but when he was snowboarding competitively and I was snowboarding competitively, I never went pro. He went pro. He was getting paid to snowboard.
Yeah.
But when we were both kind of shitheads in school, we both spent more time snowboarding in high school than in like the latter years of high school.
Studying or whatever. Yeah.
We did. We both ended up getting fired from McDonald's for various reasons, and we both went on to snowboard. And we lived. We started our businesses like around the same year, about 15 years ago, and we grew up 10 minutes away from each other, and we never knew each other until we met. It was. It's over a decade now.
Barry and I are 87. You're
85. Yeah. So. And but even at different parties and stuff, even though we were 10 minutes away, I'm sure we were probably at some of the same parties and stuff around the same crowd. But I just never knew each other until we went on it was a business association that we were a part of, and there just happened to be it was a very, very small group of people. I think there was 10 companies there, maybe 9 companies, something like that. And we were there, and that was where we met for the first time. He's like, I'm from Dawson. I was like, all right, I'm from Ladner, which is 10 minutes apart. And anyways, never really knew each other there. But
funny.
Oh yeah, so I used to snowboard competitively, but when I did, seeing guys wear helmets, that was only something that you did in the Olympics.
Right. That was when I skateboarded. Yeah.
That was it. Like to throw on a helmet, you were
the biggest loser. Yeah.
You were a weirdo. And same when you going back to riding bikes again, or riding motorcycles in the 60s, 70s, 80s, wearing a helmet was just a dumb thing to do. I actually have a funny helmet story. I'm going to tell you in a minute here.
I can't wait.
But as soon as, and I remember I was in Manning Park. I was up in Manning Park, and I was ripping up and down throughout the park with my friend of mine. And we're just hitting the rails, and the sign said, "Hey, you have to wear helmets to go in the park." And we knew pretty quickly there was going to likely be some sort of mandate. This is when mountains were really encouraging you and starting to pick up on safety and all that sort of stuff. And so we got kicked out of the park. They kicked us off of the park, and then we went through it again, and then they kicked us off the mountain. They cut our passes. They said, we've already told you twice, you can't go into the park without a helmet. We're like, what the hell? We never snowboarded without a helmet before. And anyways, so we went home, and I was like, man, I guess I better go buy a helmet. And then all of a sudden you go into the store and you start seeing all these different types of helmets that were very kind of cool looking. And so that was the problem, was like they recognized helmets are becoming mandatory. We have to find people at brands something that they're going to want to wear, something that's going to be comfortable, something that's going to perform well. But yeah, like you said, the Milwaukee sunglasses or Milwaukee stickers, like it has to be a good brand.
Oh, Nike's doing. Nike. I don't mind that anymore. Yeah.
Like you all of a sudden, you wear a Nike helmet or Nike socks, whatever.
Like, I didn't realize the extent of it till I got into the tool industry.
Milwaukee's got a good brand,
and 3 days before I got hired by Milwaukee, I would have never ever imagined I'd be in the tool industry. Mm-hmm. I remember starting and saying, I don't know what a drill is. What's a drill? It drills stuff? It does drilling?
Brand matters.
Brand really matters.
My helmet story. So I went, speaking of like goofy looking helmets, I bought a motorcycle, my first motorcycle, when I was 18.
Do you still have one now?
I don't have one now. No, I sold it. Actually,
once you had a kid?
No, I sold it quite a long time ago.
My dad sell his motorcycle once he got a kid.
Oh yeah. I mean, I probably would have sold it anyways, or been be required to sell it. But I no, when I sold it and I went traveling because I needed some money. So like I had a motorcycle, right, and I was 18 when I bought it, and it was a Honda Shadow 750 was the first motorcycle I bought.
That's like Mandarin to me.
Okay, so it doesn't matter, but it was like imitation Harley. It was kind of a cruiser, laid back. It wasn't now. I mean, I would be looking at something probably like a sport bike, like a Ducati or something, to kind of rip around on and get some speed on. And this was my style. Was like the leather jacket, the jeans, kind of laid back cruise. Just love that. That was very much my style. But my dad was like, well, if you have this motorcycle, you have to wear this helmet, and like this full faced helmet. I mean, I was an adult at this time when I bought it, but your helmets had to be registered. I'm looking around at all these bikers that I'm seeing. They're wearing these kind of like dinky little, tiny little helmets that look cool, and like in the movies and stuff, you see that. But I had bought this full faced helmet, which did not look cool, and I hated it. But there was this tiny little motorcycle repair shop around the corner from when I one of the projects that I was working on at PCL. I walked over there, and they had this like very thin little like German style, like German soldier helmet, whatever you would call it, kind of like that style, but very thin. And I put it on. I was like, oh yeah, this looks cool. And but I still like kind of young, fairly new to the motorcycle. And I asked the guy, I'm like, if I fall, is this going to protect my head? And he's like, I have a hammer here. He's like, you can put the helmet on. I'll hit you in the head with the hammer. Take the helmet off. I'll hit you in the head with the hammer, and you can tell me if you see a difference. And I was like, okay, I get what you're saying here. This is like a big burly dude. Yeah. Like you can tell he was, he's motorcycle dude shop. And I was like this little tiny kid going in there kind of like, is this helmet going to be okay for me?
You weren't doing your bench presses yet.
I was not bench pressing much at that point. And then he's like, hey, if you're concerned about it, I'll sell you the DOT sticker for an extra $10, and like you can throw it on your helmet there. Just like, tell
great upsell.
I was like,
fries with that.
All right, perfect. It may not protect my head, but for an extra $10, I can maybe fool the authorities that my helmet is, meets safety standards.
That's hilarious.
And then, so I bought it. I actually still have that helmet. I don't have a motorcycle anymore, but I have the helmet because it was like kind of fun, and I don't know what else.
Eventually,
I'll give it away again. Eventually, maybe I'll get another.
Not in your future.
Yeah, when the kids move off to college, maybe that'll be a thing. Yeah. But yeah, like that coming back to that, I mean, that was, you don't want to look dumb. And then those full face helmets, they didn't fit that bike. I felt dumb. It wasn't who I was. It didn't represent who I wanted to be. I didn't want to wear it. It was like not the image that I was trying to give off. So finding something that worked well, fit, safety. I mean, yeah, it was just like comes back to branding, but that was an important thing.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. What's down the future of Milwaukee? You mentioned machine learning.
Yeah, man. Like advanced materials and machine learning is some of the kind of the big next ventures, I guess, where we will be launching a new motor technology next year. I don't even know what it is. They're pretty tight-lipped with some of this stuff because they don't want it leaking, especially, stuff gets on social media. And
Yeah.
blows up. But
yeah,
like I said earlier, in the chat, we had our global CEO from America gave us a talk the other day to like run us through, financials and all that kind of stuff. And spoke to the future, and that was one of the things he mentioned, that we launched a new motor about a year ago, and it was a great breakthrough. But he was like, if you guys thought that was a performance, wait till 2026 till you see what we got in the hopper. And so it's kind of cool. We, some of my guys on my team, they say a funny joke that we're the company of not yet. Like, hey, do you make that? Not yet. But we will.
Yeah.
Because it's just we launch, like, if you take every single brand in our space and combine them, we launch 3 times more products than all of them.
Hell yeah.
And we might have launched, I don't know, 200 products this year. It never stops.
Man.
There's hand tools, accessories, power tools, safety. We've gotten really into clothing. Like, this is obviously just a t-shirt.
That's nice.
But we make
nice t-shirt. You're gonna bring one for one of these for me next time we do this.
Man, I'll order you stuff. We do like this is just kind of like the cotton t-shirt, but we do workwear stuff now. So we do the underlayer, like close to your, like on your skin. We do kind of the mid layer, and we do the outer layer. We've always had heated gear for years, heated jackets and heated sweatshirts and stuff like that. That's always been a big business for us. But yeah, we envision workwear and clothing being a multi-billion-dollar business for us. Yeah, it's always something. It's always something. And PPE is going to be PPE. We figure PPE will be a 10x bigger revenue stream than power tools for us in years to come.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for keeping tools cool, and thanks for keeping us safe and warm and dry out there, man. Appreciate you,
man. It's been a lot of fun.
Appreciate you coming out, and everybody out there, our listeners. Hopefully, you had some fun today and learned some stuff. Milwaukee Tools. Can't wait to see what's in store for 2026 for everyone out there. Thank you very much once again for all of your time. We'll see you next time. Rock and roll.